Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another video on the channel, and today we're checking out a game that I used to play all the time. Not this specific one, but this franchise, Saints Row. So this is, technically it's Saints Row 5, but this is a reboot. It came out, I believe, last year. So this whole video is about explaining if it's good, and just talking about Saints Row in particular. If you don't know what Saints Row is quite a good game that came out quite a while back. Saints Row 1 was Saints Row's had a really hard. It's had a rough time. When Saints Row 1 first released, it was a really good game and it was very popular. A lot of people started to think of it and see it as a GTA ripoff, Walmart version of GTA. And then it just stayed, it kind of kept that thing that people like to think about it all the time for quite a long period of time. And it was honestly kind of annoying because playing it really wasn't it's not a GTA ripoff. It's not what the game is at all. It has not already doesn't have that much similarity to GTA, so you can't call it that.
Hey, JR, what's up?
Well, after that little clusterfuck we had with the Panteros, you know, when my life
See,
was flashing before my eyes,
Saints Row's got a
I started
feeling,
thinking
it's
about
got
early
a
retirement.
whole way you
Seems
play it.
fair.
Took my bonus and savings and bought this empty lot. I'm fixing to open my own garage. Trouble is, a pack of those idols anarchists made off with my shipment of car parts. Without it, my garage is gonna fail before it even opens.
And you want me to get the shipment back?
After our last run, I figured this should be easy. That'd make it worth your while. Say a percentage of the garage?
A percentage? I'm in.
Hey, yo.
Kev, quick question. The idols robbed this fella I know.
So-
Any idea where they take his stuff?
Probably to the camp.
What
His
is
friend
Saints
here's some
Row?
rich
If it's
bigwig.
not a
Nope,
GTA ripoff,
just a regular
then
Joe
what is it?
trying to make ends meet.
That doesn't sound right.
It's
The
a
idols
game
are
that has
about
a similar
taking down the
style.
corrupt
It's an
system
open
like the
world
little guy.
Yeah. and they
game that
never
involves
get
action,
Well, just be
a bunch of
careful,
action
okay?
and stuff,
Idols are like a
war in
family to
between
me.
I
gangs.
promise I'll be nice.
Saints Row 1, it was really fixated on that, and it was a really good game, and there was a lot of good things about it. Saints Row 2, the game got even better, and they perfected anything wrong with Saints Row 1. And the game was phenomenal. I loved Saints Row 2. It was a great game, and it, in my opinion, is one of the best games that I have ever played. It had the good story, it had amazing gameplay, it was funny, it was serious, and it was nowhere near being a GTA ripoff. Because this game is more, it's more like you're playing an action movie. That's kind of what I would consider Saints Row. Is
That must
you're
be the
playing a funny action movie, which is something I always wanted, you'd always want to do. You watch these awesome action movies and you're like, man, imagine I got to play that or be involved in that somehow. Oh, didn't mean to go on my roof. But imagine I got to play that or be involved in that somehow. That was always such an awesome feeling or thought. But, there's not many games like that, but Saints Row was. And then Saints Row 3 came out, and it was a good game. It really was, but it was different. You can see it was a whole different style on graphics, and the game itself was very different. It wasn't bad though.
Who the hell are you?
I'm
It's just different.
looking at
It had a lot of
join
issues.
you,
In my opinion, it was
idols.
worse
I
than
knew
Saints
a
Row 2,
recruit.
but it was fun.
Well,
The
come on
storyline
in.
wasn't as great.
Go find Cheryl. With a
The
safe
gameplay even it worked better. It was smoother, but it still wasn't. But there wasn't as many options. It felt like they focused a lot less on it, and it was not that great, to be honest.
I can't wait to be an official
So-
idol.
Saints Row 3, it was a good game, but it just it wasn't the same, but it was still fun. And then that game happened, and it was time for Saints Row 4. That did not go very well, though. See, Saints Row 4, as Saints Row
I'm ready
4
to
got
watch the world burn, baby.
released, it wasn't stuff happened in between Saints Row 3 and 4 between the companies. I don't remember in detail exactly. That's not what this is. You can find it easily by searching it up. I'm not explaining all that, but some stuff happened with the companies, and they had a bunch of issues, and due to said issues, other companies got involved, others were gone, bankruptcy problems, and
Hey, come get your idol colors.
we ended up with presidents versus aliens.
Alright,
The game was twisted. It
I'm
was
thinking about
weird.
joining
It
the
wasn't
Idols.
Saints Row. There was Saints Row stuff from it.
Take down the
It
establishment.
didn't even. It still
Sure.
kind of felt like
I
Saints
like
Row, but it
stealing
wasn't.
car
There was
parts
so
and
many
shit.
things that
Or
were
by
off
punching
and
everybody
weren't
in the
right.
neck till they choke.
But
Hey,
it just kind of happened,
the idols
and
are a
then
big tent. We like
it had a lot of
houses, start to
DLCs,
Martin.
and
He's headbanging around somewhere.
it, the worst part was the game sucked. Like, the story was bad. Everything else about it was bad. But somehow it was still fun. I have zero clue how that even makes sense or how that even happens, but somehow it was still fun.
You Martin?
And
Heard
all
you
the
were a heist
superpowers
man.
were entertaining,
Fuck
but it
yeah.
wasn't Saints Row.
I made this botnet
So
that hacks
then,
Wi-Fi
after that,
enabled
it went downhill
refrigerators.
again,
Come summer, there
and
won't
that
be a
looked like
organized
the end
dispenser in
of the
town.
Saints Row series,
Sounds
which was
safe for the
unfortunate
little
because
guy,
it was a great
but
series.
do you steal real things?
And then they released a game called
parts?
Agents of
What
Mayhem.
even is
I
real
believe
in
they're
a
involved with
late-stage
that. I don't really know
capitalist
much about that
digital
or got really into that,
Boom.
but all I know is it bombed.
Mind blown.
The game
But
did
if you
horrible.
like meat space theft,
It's
talk to
not a
Timmy
good game.
O. He's around somewhere working on his
And
project.
some people say they enjoyed it, but the game's I've heard nothing but bad about it, and it's hard to judge it too much because I've never played it.
So amazed. If I
But
bring my friends in, I'll finally
It's just
move up a
not.
tier
It just
and make
wasn't
more
good.
money.
And then that bombed, and they were like, the company was like, well, Saints Row. We would try going back to that. And at this point, it was pretty much dead. It was almost forgotten. It's been so long, and everyone had kind of lost. Anyone who's been a fan of Saints Row had kind of lost hope and figured, well, that's it. There isn't going to be any
Timmy O,
more Saints Row.
I heard you bring in big hogs.
But then
Anything that
we
ain't
had a
nailed
little
down.
glimmer of hope,
Just boosted
and
shit
they
with
released
car
something
parts off
on
some
social
cog in a
media,
big
a
auto
leak.
machine.
Hog wild. Where would you even keep something like that?
Warehouse and back with the other refuse of materialism.
About the game coming out, and it was not. There wasn't a lot of information. It was just kind of leaked and said that it could be being released, but there wasn't really any info about it. And then it took quite a while before we got any more. But once we did, we
care
actually
about
got to
the
see
ride
that it
plane?
was they were going for a reboot, and they were completely scrapping what they did before because Saints Row 4 was toast. It was horrible. So they scrapped it and did a reboot, which I thought was a great idea because after
What
how
are you
badly they
doing here?
destroyed
I heard you
the
have some
last
car
game
parts I
and
was
just
hoping
destroyed the
to
franchise with it,
take
it was better
back.
to reboot.
Fuck
But a lot of
off.
people had issues with
Thing
that,
is, they belong to one of the little guys you say you fight for. So
There are
which
no
gave
little
the game
guys.
itself a lot of hate.
Just idols and tools of the system.
And it was kind of doomed to fail off the start because of that. So a lot of people, it doesn't have the greatest reviews, but that's because the game did not have a great start, considering people didn't like the whole. It was just getting restarted. But that takes us to where we are, which is this game still feels very much like a Saints Row game, and still very much looks like one. So, would I consider this game good? Yes. It still is definitely a Saints Row game, and it still has everything Saints Row has had.
have to tether that container and drag it back to JR.
So, is Saints Row good in 2023? Yes. This is Saints Row. This is the Saints Row game.
You weren't even using them. How does it feel getting stolen from? Knocking them down.
I'm bringing you down. Let's burst this tool.
Just attack every idol! I don't want to miss this!
They deserve that.
So, final, I guess, words on Saints Row. The reboot, Saints Row 5, whatever you want to call it. One, no, Saints Row is not a GTA ripoff. At all. I can't stand people saying that. It's so
Really
annoying.
grinding my gears.
Two, there's an unfortunate chance that Saints Row, the reboot, Saints Row 5, could be potentially the last Saints Row in the series, because it did get bad reviews off release due to just people complaining, and the problem with people just wanting to complain anytime something new gets released. Any game gets affected by the whole overhyped, and then the game gets released and it's not god tier perfect best game ever situation, and then the game gets just hated on and then just destroyed. That happens almost every time, and it's very annoying, and this game got hit by that as well. So with the train wreck of history that Saints Row has had, and this game not getting the most loved reviews right off the bat, unfortunately this could potentially be the last one. Now, I'm not going to guarantee that, because Saints Row has died like twice. Maybe more, there might be more I don't know about, but the game itself, the franchise, has died and came back. So isn't really saying it, like, it hasn't died. It's still good. It's just got a really one of those things where it just got overhyped and hated on right off the bat. So realistically, the game itself is not bad, and I don't know what I'm doing, and it could easily come back. It's just not the highest chance, that's all. So yeah, I would. This is very good. They did phenomenal on this. The customization's insane, and already the amount of stuff you can do in the game is phenomenal. I have no complaints. So I heavily recommend checking this game out and trying to not let the series die. So I'll give it a nice, I don't know, like, I'd say 8 or 9 out of 10. I think this game is so good so far. Zero complaints. I haven't got too far into it, but I got no complaints yet, and I hope this game gets better and gets more popular and more loved over time. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you on the next one.